I don't like rust. It's coarse, it's rough, it gets everywhere. But you know what? I'm going to show you how to paint it, because that's exactly what happens when you're in a war-torn country, when you're on Necromunda in a rundown planet. Everything turns to rust. So come with me, let's get down to the painting table. Let's start creating some corrosion. Here we are down at the painting table with our Zone Mortalis base that we've undercoated with Chaos Black spray. What we're going to do, we're going to come in with 2 thin coats of Doombull Brown and put this all over the base. Make sure we get it in all the cracks and crevices. Once we're done, we're going to let it dry completely. Give it a good half an hour or so to make sure it's thoroughly dry. And then we'll move on to the next steps and show you how to create the rust from this base coat. So with that Doombull Brown now dry, we can move on and actually start creating the effect. We're going to grab some Scrag Brown here. I am putting it on my wet palette and I am going to mix it with a little bit of water. I like to do this for dry brushing, just because adding a little bit of water to your paint helps break that surface tension a little bit, and it helps it flow a bit better off the brush while you're doing it. As you can see, I'm going to grab a bit of paper towel and wipe most of the paint off. I want to leave a little bit on there. Now what I'm going to do is come in and start dabbing at that base just with the tips of the bristles and create a stippled effect of the Scrag Brown over the Doombull Brown. You want to start lighter with this. This is one of those painting schemes where it's actually better to start lighter and add more paint to your brush and add more paint to the model as you feel it needs it in certain areas. Don't just go heavy-handed from the start or the effect won't work. We'll get this done and we'll move on to the next step. So we haven't had to let that dry at all, and as you can see, I've dried my brush out and I'm using just a crap brush that I've had sitting around. I've used it for dry brushing, basing, I've flogged it, but you know, it's perfect for stippling. That's why it's still part of my toolkit. So what we're doing, we're grabbing Troll Slayer Orange now and doing exactly the same thing. I like to mix it again with a bit of water, just so it flows off the brush like I said before. And we'll mix this up, we'll get it all ready to go. We'll use our paper towel again and dry off most of those bristles. And again, we will come in super lightly and start just tapping at the top of that base with the tips of our bristles. This is just now starting to really create that rust effect. You could see by how much my brush is moving and wobbling around, how lightly I'm holding it and how little pressure I'm putting on this. You just want to basically touch the tip of the brush to the surface. Once this is done, we can pretty well wash our brush out and move straight on to the next step. So what I've done here, I've followed my masking tutorial from my hazard stripe video, which you can see in the description below. And I'm actually grabbing the Avalanche Sunset out here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stipple it in between those bits of mask on the area that I want it to be yellow for the hazard stripes. So you can see I'm very carefully just dabbing in there, trying not to get it all over any other surface. I'm keeping this light and just adding as I need to get the color I want. With the yellow now done, I've given it a minute to dry and I've actually pulled the tape off. and put the tape over the yellow to protect that. And now I'm coming in with some Abaddon black and doing exactly the same thing, starting off fairly light and just dabbing at that section in between the masking tape, just on that surface that I want to complete the hazard stripe. Once this is done, you can remove the masking tape altogether, and we'll move on to the next step, which is just to sort of finalize that rust, and it'll actually tie all this together. So with that now done, it's really starting to look like a rusty, war-torn surface. But we're just going to take it that final step now. We're going to grab our iron breaker and we're going to just dry brush this across the edges of the raised surfaces, just so that it catches a little bit of metal on there and gives you the illusion that it is metal under that rust and not just a stipple brown surface. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we can have a look at it and see what we think. Well, I'm looking at it going, I think we could stipple a few little bits on there just to break up the flats a bit. So I'll come back in with my stippling brush. I'll collect some of that iron breaker again, and just in select patches, I'll stipple some of it just to help break the surface up a little bit more and create a little bit more interest in the effect that we've got here. As you can see, that's starting to look really, really great and ready for a model or to be used as terrain. So there we go, 4 simple paints to get a really easy and effective looking rust effect. Then we've taken it that one step further by adding our hazard stripes on there, our chevrons. You don't have to do it that way. You can just do it with just a simple plain color. So for example, if you've got a water tank on your terrain, you can grab some blue and just stipple over it with the blue, and it leaves that look of the paint being left behind and broken up and the rust forming around that coating. It's simple and effective. So you can use this on anything you want to do it. You can use it on bases, you can use it on terrain. It doesn't matter. This is one of those simple techniques where the uses are endless. So if you really like watching that one, guys, down here in the corner, that like and subscribe. Hit the bell so that you get notifications. We're posting videos weekly. We've dropped our Facebook down in the description below. And what I want you guys to do now is jump down in the comments down the bottom and let me know where you're going to be putting your rust effects. Till next time, have a good one.